Hey everyone, my name is Kevin, and in this video we're going to be answering some questions about the unemployment insurance law passed through the CARES Act. There's a lot of questions out there, and hopefully I'll answer a lot of them here. A lot of you guys left them on my community tab. I'm going to be using that as a basis for this video. I've consolidated a lot of the questions, so hopefully I can answer all of them. And if I left something out for some reason, be sure to leave it in the comment below. I will be sure to answer all the questions that you leave on this video to the best of my ability. Now let's get into it. So again, my name is Kevin Conway. I make personal finance videos like this. I'm an attorney based in California, and this is not legal advice. This is just for entertainment purposes only, just to educate you so you can be more familiar with the law. Now with that being said, if it helped you out, I'd really appreciate you giving it a like, sharing it with whoever you think, subscribing to the channel, and looking at my other videos. If you want a little bit more detail about the unemployment insurance law, I made several videos about it, and this video is really to answer the questions that have been left on my channel. So let's recap the law just at a high level. The CARES Act greatly expanded unemployment insurance in the country. Not only are W-2 employees now eligible, but pretty much anyone who had a job, whether or not they worked for Uber or a gig driver, for self-employed, whatever it may be, they are likely eligible for unemployment insurance. Now this is great in and of itself because you just get expanded coverage. But the beauty of the unemployment insurance expansion, I think for most people, is that additional $600 per week. People have questions, when does it apply, when does it not apply? And so with that being said, let's get into the questions and hopefully I could answer some of them for you here. The first question asked if they've received unemployment insurance from their state, but they haven't received that extra $600, are they out of luck? And the short answer is no. The $600 is going to come. A lot of states are really behind on implementing the systems to get that money out. And with that being said, you will be back paid that $600 from the time that you initiated your claim all the way back until roughly March 29th for most states. Many states like Delaware and New York, California, and others are reporting that they are actually receiving that $600 per week. So that's a really positive thing. It will be coming. Don't worry. Just be patient. Realize that millions of people are filing these claims and they're probably a little behind. Second question asks if they've certified a few days ago and it says not paid. What does that mean? Again, it's kind of a pending thing. Don't worry. You will get paid eventually. It's just that the states are behind on actually getting that money out into your hands. This next question is really interesting. They ask, what do they do if they're in an at-risk group, but they work for an essential business? If they quit, are they eligible for unemployment insurance? That's question number one. And they also ask, what happens if their employer got a stimulus bill? I'm guessing they mean the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP loan. What happens then? Are they obligated to stay with their employer? Does their employer pay them? Does the state pay them? How does that work? I'll answer the second question first. If your company gets a PPP loan, then likely you will not be let go because the federal government is picking up the tab of the payroll for the company for a certain period of time. Therefore, you are no cost to your employer, and your employer will continue paying you your full rate. And as such, you're not eligible to qualify for unemployment insurance. The second question is way more interesting. Okay, so if you're in an at-risk group or you think that you are going to be exposed to the virus, what should you do? Are you allowed to quit and get unemployment insurance? The short answer is generally no. And that may seem kind of harsh, but here's why. Many people are potentially exposed to the virus, but the law only outlines a few specific categories that you must fall in order to qualify for unemployment insurance. One of them is being forced to quit as a direct result of the virus. And now lawyers everywhere have interpreted this in different ways. Here's what I think it means. If you work for a company and the company does provide you reasonable accommodations in some way, then you probably can't quit and collect unemployment insurance. However, if you have a note from your doctor and you show your employer that you must quit in order to go and protect yourself because you're at risk, that probably does qualify. If you are working at a business and you request reasonable accommodations, so more social distancing, the ability to work from home, things like that, and your employer denies it, that probably strengthens your claim. But you can't just quit because you're afraid to get the virus. That may seem harsh, but that is the way the law is. And I don't want you to quit your job, rely on unemployment insurance, and then not be able to get it. That's just my honest take on what I think the law is going to be interpreted in. And with that being said, the federal government wrote this law and gave it to states. States are the ones that make this determination. So one state might determine that that is a reasonable thing to do, to quit your job if you're afraid to get it. Another state that's a little more harsh probably will interpret things a little bit differently. Okay, what if you don't really make very much money or you haven't really worked very long for a company? Say you just started working in February and you were let go in March, or say you are not really earning very much money and in traditional unemployment insurance you wouldn't be eligible. What are you to do now? Well, don't worry. The law does not require you to earn any specific amount of money. It doesn't require you to work for a specific period of time. The law is very clear in this regard. If you had a job and you lost it as a direct result of the pandemic, you are eligible. And if you had a job and you were going to start it, you hadn't even worked yet, and you lost the job, you are eligible. If you can't get to your job because of quarantine, whether it is mandatory quarantine in your city, a mandatory quarantine for you, you are eligible for unemployment insurance. It does not matter how much money that you make. If you qualify for $1 of unemployment insurance, you qualify for the suite of benefits in the CARES Act. Next question says, I'm about to run out of benefits. What do I do? Or I just ran out of benefits. Am I eligible for this expanded unemployment insurance? The short answer is you are eligible for an additional 13 weeks of state unemployment insurance and an additional $600 per week now through July 31st. What do you need to do to actually get that? Well, probably you need to either reapply, recertify with your state, or take some action. You need to actually tell the state that you are still unemployed. And if so, you are eligible for that additional 13 weeks of state unemployment insurance plus that additional $600 every week for the weeks that you are unemployed, up to a maximum of 4 months or July 31st of this year. Okay, so how does that work exactly? Let's just say you exhausted your benefits in December and you're still unemployed today. You'd probably be eligible because even though you exhausted it then, you have now more benefits available to you. Just go ahead and reapply. Next question asks, what happens if I quit my job in December and then I was unemployed and now I want to collect unemployment insurance? Well, unfortunately, you would not qualify under this law. And the reason is because you quit your job previously and you were not on unemployment insurance then, you'd probably not be eligible then, you're probably not eligible today. The next question asks, I was furloughed, but I still have my health benefits. Am I eligible for unemployment insurance? The answer is very clear. It is yes. If you are getting only health insurance from your former employer because you're furloughed, you still can collect unemployment insurance. This applies to, I know, all of those Disney World workers that were furloughed but are still getting their health insurance for 12 months over in Florida. They are still eligible for unemployment insurance, don't worry. Another person asks, I used my PTO to supplement my lower hours that I was receiving at work in order to net the same pay. What do I do about unemployment insurance? Well, the short answer is if you have PTO or vacation time that you can use or you can work from home, you're not eligible for unemployment insurance. If you've used all of it and you have reduced hours, or you've lost your job or lost most of your commission or done something to where you're not earning as much money, then you are eligible for unemployment insurance under the CARES Act under the partial unemployment theory of the law. Another person asks if they are getting a PPP loan or an EIDL loan, that is a paycheck protection loan or an emergency injury disaster loan from the government, are they also eligible for unemployment insurance? The short answer is no for PPP, yes perhaps for EIDL, and here's why. If you are getting your unemployment insurance, you can't also be getting paid from your job. If you're using your PPP or EIDL loans in order to supplement your income by paying your wages, that is eligible under those uses of the loan, but they would make you ineligible to receive unemployment insurance. The short answer is it's either one or the other, not both. Another person asks if they are being paid 15% less, are they eligible to receive unemployment insurance? The short answer is perhaps, and if they are being paid 50% less, the answer is absolutely yes. This is up to states to determine whether or not that qualifies under partial unemployment. It probably does. I would go ahead and apply. You don't really have anything to lose, and a lot of times you can have reduced hours, get unemployment insurance plus that $600, and actually be making more than you would if you were fully employed. That's kind of a weird wrinkle in the law. That is something that was debated by Congress, but it was decided that we'd rather overpay people than underpay people, and therefore it was the intent of the law to actually have that apply. So in your case, it probably would apply. You don't really have anything to lose. Just go ahead, apply, and just see what happens. Another person asks if they're taking care of their granddaughter and they no longer can work because of that, are they eligible for unemployment insurance? The short answer is unequivocally yes. if, as a condition of that person's employment, you needed to have childcare or have that child be in school and taken care of in some manner. And because of the pandemic, those options were closed. Therefore, you have to stay home and watch them. Absolutely, you are explicitly covered under the definition of the CARES Act. Another person asks, do they need to keep certifying every single week for unemployment? And the answer is yes, you do. Your state needs to know if you're still unemployed. You need to just do the regular thing that you would if you were under regular unemployment insurance. That is, you need to let your state know what the status of your unemployment is. Another person asks, what if they're a 1099 worker or an Uber driver or somebody and they keep applying to their state and they keep getting denied because their state only has their old application, which states you must be a W-2 employee or another covered individual in order to qualify, not a 1099 worker. What do? The short answer is you need to be diligent, keep applying, keep checking back in the state. All these states are implementing their new forms, new systems to actually cover individuals that are covered under the CARES Act. The CARES Act passed like 2 weeks ago, and all of these states are scrambling with millions of requests for unemployment and the new burdens to actually qualify all of these additional people. So don't worry, you will get coverage. It'll take a little bit of time. Just keep applying. You will get back pay if that's any consolation at all. I know it hurts right now to not have any income, but you will get a lump sum for all of those weeks from the time that you lost your job through the time that you actually receive your first unemployment check. So don't worry, keep applying. You will get covered. Another person asked, how long do they have to wait in order to get the unemployment insurance? Well, the short answer is it depends on your state. If you live in New York or Delaware, you're eligible right now to start receiving those full payments. If you live in other states, it probably will take some time. If you live in Florida, for example, I think their systems are really backlogged and behind. You will get back pay, but it might be another week, maybe 2 weeks tops before you actually see the money in hand. Let me know what state you live in the comments below. Tell me whether or not you are receiving that check. Another person asked, how do they apply for that $600? Do they have to apply with the feds or is just applying with the state okay? Applying with your state is all you need to do. There's no other application. You apply at one place, Google your state unemployment office, click the first link, it'll take you to that unemployment page. You apply there. If you qualify there and you meet the CARES Act criteria, you're going to get both that federal government $600 plus your state unemployment insurance all through one application. Now, it might come in 2 separate checks, might come in 1 check. Doesn't really matter. It's coming either way. So you only need to apply in one distinct place, and that is your state unemployment office. Along with this, somebody asked, what happens if they work in one state, but they live in another? It matters where you work. Apply in the state in which you work, the state in which you pay taxes in order to pay your taxes on your income. That's the state that matters for the purposes of unemployment insurance. Another person asked, what happens if they've had 2 jobs and they lost one of them? Are they eligible for unemployment insurance? And it's kind of a gray area. There's no real good answer, except that probably they do qualify. Again, this goes back to the intent of Congress. They wanted to overpay people as opposed to underpay people. And therefore, if you've lost your job, if you have partial unemployment, if you've lost your job in some manner, apply and find out, because likely you will be able to get unemployment insurance on losing one of your jobs and not the other. That was the intent of the law. I would go ahead and apply. You probably are going to be surprised. Someone asked, what is the process like for applying? Well, like I mentioned previously, just Google your state's unemployment office. You'll probably need something like an identification, your social security card, maybe some pay stubs. If you work for Uber or Doordash and you've lost your job because of the pandemic and you need to prove that you're a 1099 worker who lost income, you'll probably have to supply, your driver logs or something like that. If you're self-employed, same sort of idea. So be prepared to have that documentation and be able to give it to the unemployment offices, because the sooner you do it, the sooner you're actually going to be receiving that money. And again, if you're struggling and you have no income right now and you need a little breathing room, check my other videos out. If you have a mortgage, you can actually call your mortgage provider in most instances and defer your payments for up to 12 months, and sometimes it could be even longer than that. So check that video out if you want more information there. If you have credit cards and you are worried about paying those off, call your credit card companies before your card payment is due. Ask them to extend your payment date. Of course, don't pay interest if you can help it. Don't pay late penalties, but a lot of credit card companies are doing this as a good faith gesture in order to help you out. So call them, try to get some breathing room, try to do what you can, and you will get back pay, and then use that money to pay off your credit cards, to pay off your loan, to do whatever you want. just to get some breathing room in the short term, that's what I would do. This person asks, haven't worked since 2018. Am I eligible for unemployment insurance? The answer is no, unless you had a job and you weren't able to start it because of the pandemic. You can't just pick up now and apply. You can't just get unemployment insurance for having been unemployed for years and years. That's kind of the way the law is right now. This person asks, they were ordered not to work by the doctor. Are they eligible? The answer is unequivocally yes. That falls under the having to quit your job as a direct result of the pandemic. You qualify, no need to worry. Have that doctor's note, show it to your unemployment office. You'll be fine. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. If I didn't answer your question, be sure to leave it here and I will answer it. If this video helped you out, please give it a like and share it with other people that you think might benefit from it, or just tell them this information, because there's a lot of uncertainty out there, a lot of questions, but this law has provided a tremendous lifeline to a lot of people. Be sure you let your friends and family and other affected individuals know about it. Now, with that being said, subscribe to my channel, look at my other videos if you want a little more detail on the CARES Act or other personal finance matters. With that being said, stay healthy, stay positive, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.